Right, OCD. I've had OCD for about 30 years. The first 11 years of that, I didn't know I had OCD as a child. I've had it since the age of 10. It's called the secrecy illness, but it's a bit weird because the part of there's part of you that thinks it's the norm, but you're still keeping it secret. Especially if there's people in the room, you're hiding it really well. I've got some notes here if you see me looking that way. And So yeah, it's really hard growing up with the OCD. Especially looking back, and at the time, you like you say, you think it's the norm, but you know that you're struggling, but then you wonder if everyone else is struggling as well. But like you say, but you do try and hide it from everyone. And for me, pardon me, it was the compulsions. It was the checking, counting numbers, doors. Like I say, if there was people about, I'd do it mentally. If there wasn't, it'd be like physically touching something as well. And later on in life, that it turns into, like, I had agoraphobia, anxiety and depression. The agoraphobia, not being able to leave the house. I remember, like, not leaving the house for months on end. And when I was older, I worked in the village as well, so I didn't have to leave the house, if you like. I didn't have to leave the village. And the anxiety as well. The anxiety is like a killer. It cripples you. You're kind of socially inept. Can't talk to people very well. Can't talk to strangers very well. And at school, the people that I couldn't socialise very well. Kind of general anxiety. The relationships with people and the teachers, just couldn't. There's no oomph there, if you like. I just couldn't function. That's what it comes down to. And in your imagination, it runs wild. You're thinking all these things about what people are thinking about you as well, especially at school. I think I was the kind of smelly odd bod, if you like. My clothes wasn't the cleanest, but because I was quite good at football, I was kind of in a bit there, in with the in crowd a little bit there, but I didn't say a lot, and so looking back, I think I was one of the strange ones, but that was due to the crippling anxiety inside me, And I was, at the time, I did have a parent that, I lived with an alcoholic parent, who is sober now, but at the time, it was during the important school years, if you like, it's where OCD and anxiety can thrive, and it did, and so home life was basically doing OCD all the time, and then school and social life was trying to stop doing it in front of people, and trying to hide it, and it takes up a lot of brain power, takes a lot of mental energy, and there's not a lot for anything else. So school exams were a nightmare, just crossing out, writing stuff a certain number of times, crossing out. It must have been just a mess. I think I had E's and F's and D's and all that, but I don't remember caring. I don't remember anyone else caring. Last day of school, a lot of people was signing shirts and stuff, and I think I walked home on my own. And the transition from, like, school to college and then university, and the transition from school to work, for me, I found that really hard. All my friends moved on, found jobs, whatever, went out drinking, socialising, where I was still kind of stuck in the village, not working, not doing anything really. And I didn't have, like, any encouragement or guidance, and because I wasn't mature enough, or kind of my mind was active with the OCD to kind of be able to work out what needed to be done. So that was a really hard part of my life during that time. In the end, I did find a job in the village to kind of help, but but relationships as well, relationships like girlfriends, was really hard, because there's three in the relationship, me, them, and the OCD, and how can that work? I was forever doing compulsions as well, and of course relationship, that you got to be sociable, you got to go out with friends as a couple, and you got to go out for meals and stuff like that, and cinema. That would cripple me, things like that. I'd have to have a drink or drink a lot, but the initial making the first date, I'd be so anxious about it, then I must have come across as really boring, really not socially kind of capable of functioning in a relationship, and nothing. I never gave any signs of anything long term or nothing like that with people, and of course physically as well. I can function properly, with the anxiety and stuff like that. And at the time, it's embarrassing, and you're worried what they're going to say to people, they're going to say to your friends or other relationships, and you think about that now. You look back on that now, and you think, cool. When you see that person, you think, cool. Who have they told about? Are they still judging me now about back then? And sweating as well. I used to sweat like anything. And I've had girlfriends where I know I did smell, but I didn't smell when I met them, but I smelled 20 minutes later because I was just sweating, and I couldn't control it, and it was like a physical symptom of the anxiety, and and they finished with me because of that. And I still look at them now, and I think, do they still look at me like that? As as that kind of smelly person, that didn't bother wash or nothing like that. But it was nothing like that. And it's the same with football. In the end, I was good at football, but the OCD takes everything that's good, it takes it away, and that's where the agoraphobia comes in. I couldn't play away days. Semi-finals of an important cup or an important league match. I just wouldn't play. I feign illness and anything, and then people say you got a bad attitude. Even now, I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, you're a good player, but you had a bad attitude. It was your attitude, wasn't it?" And I'm like, no, I want a bad attitude. It's because I was crippling with anxiety and depression and agoraphobia and OCD that I couldn't step out the door, and I felt safer at home, and I know that now, that avoidance is the worst thing you could do, but that's what it was. So, like you say, relationships, being social, work, at school, playing football, it's all, the OCD crippled all these things for me, and for me, the potential was there to be a lot more, and you look back and it hurts. You think, I've had all that potential. I feel I had all that potential, and it still have in a way, untapped potential. But when and it does still hurt as well. But the worst thing is, you think these people I haven't seen for 25 years at school, do they still think I'm that weird kid, the smelly one, that was a bit thick or a bit lazy, and they're never going to come to anything. And, and I hope people don't judge me on that, because inside it, I was torn inside, it was kind of ripping me up, the OCD and stuff. So, I'm hoping now, it doesn't matter now anyway, because I don't see a lot of these people, but I'm hoping I'm not judged now from back then. Like, I don't judge anyone. So, but yeah, but, it does, like, and the OCD, you start on the anxiety, the intrusive thoughts, you question everything as well. Question every single decision in your life, whether you're doing the right thing. You back down from relationships, you back down from major decisions. And it's all down to, for me, it's all down to anxiety. It's not down to lazy or anything like that, or bad attitude. For me, it was down to the crippling, anxiety, and it's not an excuse. It's real. So yeah, so like I'm saying, from the past to now, it's been a big story, if you like, and a lot of the first kind of 20 years of my life, I wish I could change things. I wish I didn't have the OCD, but all I can do now is kind of tap into it. And that's what I do with the poetry. And that's what I kind of want to talk about, with your OCD, with your anxiety, it's get creative with it, tap into it, it's, even though it comes from a dark place, out of the darkness comes light. You could start off in a lot of my poems, my early poems, are really from a really big dark place, and kind of more recent ones, a bit more lighter, a bit more humorous, if you like. But I still love tapping into the dark bits, because I know I can, and I know I can tap into them without being sucked in there, without it making me feel worse. I feel tired and drained afterwards, but I don't feel any worse. I don't sit back into it. So being creative, paint something, draw something, write something, a short story, anything like that. Song lyrics. Anything to get it out there and make it real, because when it's all in your head and you try and overcome these thoughts, if you like, it adapts so you can't, and in the end it just builds up, and it's got to come out somewhere. It's got to, with a breakdown of anything, it could be physical symptoms or a physical breakdown, so let it out, get it out from behind there, get it out of your head, put it out somewhere, make it real, put it on a wall, write it in a book. Show people, keep it to yourself, give, if anything, you understand yourself better, and you give yourself a bit of kind of, not sympathy, but you're not so hard on yourself when you look back on it. You bloody hell, I did go through a lot, and that's real. That is the truth. It's not an excuse. It is actually real. These symptoms, these facts about OCD, they are real. It's a top 10 disability illness in the world. It is mental, but it's real. So like I say, the imagination of people with OCD and anxiety, it's amazing. Just, like I say, create whatever comes into your mind. Use that dark place and put something out there on paper, like a drum beat, whatever it sounds like. If that's your heart beating fast when you're having a panic attack or something. Do the drum beat, anything like that. Because, like I say, when you make it real, you can deal with it. When you make it real, you can change it. And when you make it real, you kind of start in that place where you can go to the lighter place. And don't be scared. Don't be scared of your imagination. You know, it comes from you. Don't be scared of it. Use it. Use it. Change it. Adapt it. You know, like I say, don't be scared of it. It's your imagination. It comes from you. You know, there's a lot of people with really vivid imaginations that come out of all these TV programs and scary lyrics and all this kind of stuff. And that's the kind of thing that OCD, they've got that. You can use it. If you tap into that potential, you could find a passion somewhere. And that's what I'm trying to kind of get across, if you like, that I found my passion with the poetry, with the kind of story writing, you know, with the lyrics and all that. And, you know, like 18 months ago, you know, I could hardly walk out the door, you know, without crippling anxiety, if you like, agoraphobia. And, you know, and a year ago, you know, I dreaded going on Facebook or anything like that because I thought I was going to be accused of doing something or something like the intrusive thought, something sexual or violent or something, a crime that happened 200 miles away, I was going to be accused of and I'll probably go to jail. So what's the point? Whereas now I'm on Twitter, you know, blogging and all that. I've got a Facebook page and a blog page, Poetry Encryption Mine. You know, on my Facebook page is over 10,000 followers. You know, check it out if you want. And I've got a YouTube channel as well, and I've done a rap song and sang a rap song I've never sang in my life and put it on YouTube, you know, and it's all original lyrics, if you like, but it's just wanted to put it out there for everyone to see, whereas before I didn't want anyone to see me come out the front door, you know, so it can change. You know, I found a really good therapist, she was really good, and a really good book, and which both they both went with how I wanted to live, how I wanted to live my life, you know, and it really works. And the therapist, she's absolutely brilliant, you know, it's been my saviour in a way, you know, and one of only 3 people that's kind of understood me. The other 2 was friends of a relationship that I had, and they were the only ones that kind of understood me, didn't judge me, you know, and then they really helped me. And then this therapist, she's along that line as well, and it's just, for me, it's a little bit like fate is meant to be, and she's helped me tap into that potential, and she's helped me kind of change my way of thinking, so it's really good. But like I said about the creative side of things, is do it. Don't be scared of it. Just do it. If it comes from you, there's nothing to be scared of. So what I'm going to finish with today, I hope, you know, a little bit of kind of the OCD, that's been a big part of my life, and a bit of kind of the short version of my life, if you like, to now, you know, and the judgment thing is a massive thing, how you think other people still judge you, and even people that I've met 6 months ago, how they still might judge you. But like I say, growing up, relationships and friends and people that you play football with, I think you've got a bad attitude, and the last time you saw them, you know, you smelled, or, you know, you was acting a bit weird, or I don't know, anything like that, you know, that can really wear you down. So it's kind of, by being creative and getting out there, it can give people a bit of understanding about you, and then, you know, a softer side to you and a real side to you, you know. But as long as if you're kind of happy with yourself, and, you know, in where you're going, you know, if you can tap into that, you know, and unlock a passion, because if you can unlock something creatively, then you can unlock other things as well, which you thought were forbidden, or, you know, you didn't deserve. So, you know, my advice would be, if you like, is go create, you know, find the passion. And you don't know what you might come up with. It could be absolutely brilliant. So what I'm going to finish off today is my OCD poem. I wrote bits of it in the depths of OCD years ago, and I've adapted it and twisted it and got a thesaurus and stuff like that. But it got over 11,000 likes and that on my Facebook page, so check it out if you like. Okay, I'll read it to you now. It's called The OCD, the original title. Awaiting inside when you're born, awakes from slumber at any age, mutates into many slimy forms, adapts a method to slide from its cage, fills insecurities with whimpering tales, controls from within, it must speak truth, vocation to protect, although it always fails, lay seeds of doubts in minds of youth, check, wash clean, obsess on thoughts, displays futures that couldn't exist, a freedom collapse never gets caught, can't reject compulsion or fear persists. Not a creative creature notices or sees how an OCD mind clouds and clears. Beg for a waking massive peace, only your design knows and hears. A false protector, a damned ally, for crowded years the only truth known. Notified to check again and ask why. Replies family be dispatched, killed, you'd be all alone. To save others you produce a sacrifice of running disconnected mean tasks. has no consequence, only in your life. Can't help but continue all that it asks. Forsaken on a bottomless ledge, to avoid it makes the host pay. Not living life, just on the edge. When the host denies it, adapts to stay. An expert of charm and seduction, lures you to pursue its crazy design, fated to forever complete its crazy function. For I am its, and it is mine. As you can tell, that was written in a very dark place. I am its, and it is mine. You know, obviously the poem's a bit like the OCD is a person in your head, person on your shoulder, telling you to do these crazy things. And when you say, no, I'm not going to do it, it adapts and say, do it, or your family's going to die. Do it, or the world's going to end. Do it, or your leg's going to fall off. Whatever hurts, do it, or you're going to be arrested. Whatever it knows is going to hurt you, that's what it adapts to. Unless you complete its crazy design, which is a compulsion, which is pulling your socks on 3 or 4 times. And that's really what the poem's about. You know, it's an expert of twisting everything, making you do everything, making sure you obey everything it does. Otherwise, it will dispatch some curse on a family or a friend or yourself. And at the time, it feels very, very real. It's hard to understand if you've never had OCD, but it does feel very real. So you can see my poem in form on my Facebook page, Poetry Encryption Mind, on my blog, and like you say, there's other ones on there, and you know, and writing that has helped me a great deal. You know, it's true to form. Interpret it how you like. For me, it's true to form, and that's how it feels sometimes. So, right, I'm checking out now. Like I say, I'm going to finish with the Go Create and Find Your Passion, because I just come up with that and I quite liked it. So yeah, don't worry about being judged. Don't be scared of your imagination. Create something, find the passion deep inside and go with it. Okay? Thank you for listening.